After many hours and lots of tape, I got this big wiring harness ready to go in. So this is wiring harness main number 1, I think. And this gob of wires right here has to go through the outside hole, this one on the left. So I just have to push those through. I can't hold the camera and do that, so I have these wires pretty much pushed through. I have to push that from the inside. On the inside, I have these big wires. I think they lay over the top like that and fasten on. The fuse box fits right here. I got 2 bolts to put that on. I'll screw that on so I take the weight off of the wires. Okay, I got those 2 bolts snugged up. Now, I just need to push that rubber stopper into the hole there. There we go. This bundle has 2 parts. One part goes out to the headlights. This part of the bundle, there's a wire ties for it here. I won't put those on yet. Alright, I'll lay those there for now. This second bunch of wires goes through the firewall on the inside hole, I believe. And this little end will go in that second hole. I'll just poke this in the hole and that's in. I'm going to go ahead and put my windshield wipers on. Check and make sure when I put the motor on that it lines up right. I didn't get new blades yet. I'll get some later. These are the old blades. Just pop these back on. Just for now. I'll put new ones on later. I think they're right. Okay, this is my wiper motor. Goes in like that. On the back is this thing. And with the wipers down, I want this oriented just the way it is now. Farthest to my right as I look at it. That little nub here just has to pop into that. And then it's got 4 bolts around it. Okay, that's popped in. Now, line up the bolt holes and put the 4 bolts in, snug them down. I'll just tighten those bolts up. And then I can run my wires under the edge of it here. I almost forgot, there's a ground wire for this pump needs to go on that top bolt right there. Put that wire on there and then screw it back in. Alright, the windshield wiper is all in now. Alright, now I'm going to try to figure out where to strap these wires at. Got some of the wires strapped in there where I think they go. I'm going to put this anti-lock brake controller in. It goes right there on those 3 bolts. Use my long extension on here. The size 10 nuts, I want to make them tight, but I want to be careful not to strip the threads by making them too tight. These brake line nuts are also size 10. Really straight to get them started. Nice and snug on that. Now what I want to do is make sure that this plug-in that also has a little wire wrap on it will reach this other end right here, and they reach no problem at all. And this little plug reaches the other end over here. I guess I have them tied in the right way, wrapped up right here, and then they're both wrapped together right there. And then that one on the inside is wrapped right there. Run them under the wiper motor and wrap them again right there. And then next is the coil goes in right here. So I need to mount the coil on here. Alright, I think I have them routed right over there. I went ahead and plugged in these two wires I showed you before to the anti-lock brake control, and tied there. There's a branch that comes off over here. These two coming off over here, they go into the air intake system, I believe. I have this one long single wire, not exactly sure of the routing, down here and back, and it plugs on to the power steering pump right there. I'll recheck it later when I'm putting other parts in. Oh, I can plug in my windshield wiper. Make a little snap sound when they're all the way in. There we go. Moving on. The next thing I'm going to put in is my brake booster. It just slides in like this with these two are horizontal and this little tube, vacuum tube, points up. Okay, I got this brake booster pushed in. What I had to do is go on this side. You see that? I slid that through the other side and then turned it, and then it slid all the way in. Then I put the snap back in. So that's on the brake pedal. And then that plate that right there where the 4 bolts have to go through that plate, the holes weren't lined up. So I put a little 2x4 and used my pry bar and held that up in place, and then they slid right in. The 4 bolts are sticking through, so now all I need to do is put these 4 nuts on and snug them down. Okay, I have the brake booster in, nice and tight. This part of the wiring harness, these come off halfway to the starter motor. This one goes back the other way and plugs into the distributor. So these wires have to go under the intake manifold and come out right down here in between the, right in this area right here. One of them plugs in there. I'm going to have to wiggle and wrestle and try to get those in there. I'm not even going to try to film that. Getting those wires through wasn't so bad. What I did was I just wrapped some masking tape around all the loose ends, and then the oil sensor one, stick that through and just pulled all the rest right under there. Should be a wire tie. Looks like, oh, broken. I need to put a new wire tie in here. And this will pull through on the other side. There's a wire tie right there that slips through. Then up here there's a one I haven't put on yet right there, and then there's another one right over there up underneath there. Just tie those down. There's a wire tie right under the EGR valve there. This will tie up there, tie that in place. Alright, I took the tape off, and I'll wait till I make sure I have all the wires before I start putting wire ties on. Next thing is this gob of wires needs to go through that hole right there, the rubber seal on there. So I'll work on pushing those through. A bunch of wires here. There we go. Okay. Now figure out where all these guys go. Next, I'm going to put this steering shaft back in. Slides up on that little post there, and then down here, because that has a groove on one side. That's the side the bolt has to go on. Now just put the bolts in. These two steering shaft bolts are size 12, by the way. I couldn't get that one up there, so I turned my wheel a little bit so that the bolt is on top. I'll tighten that up and that'll be in. Might have to adjust it later, we'll see. Next thing I'm going to put on is these my air intake pipe. There's two of these brackets and there's a bunch of holes along there. It doesn't fit in the wrong hole, so it has to go in that one, and the other one goes over there. Put the little size 10 nuts on them, and I'll put them in loose to start with. Okay, I have these two brackets on loose. Take my air intake and line up the pads, and I should be able to just slip it right in there. This part has to go in the hole. There, it's in the hole. And these should slide down. And before I tighten those up, I will, there's a baffle that goes on here. I'll put that baffle on. I don't really know the purpose of this odd part, but I assume that it is to keep noise down from the air intake system. I'm going to need two hands for this, I think, but it slides into there, and then the top end goes up in here, and then on the bottom there's a bolt that goes into that hole right there. Okay, that's snugged up. This is all on. I'll just tighten up these nuts here, and my air intake pipe will be installed. Okay, that's on and tightened up. Now I might as well put this little piece on the inside. And there goes my bolt. Slides up here and slides into that hole right up there, and bolt it on right there. Okay, that's on nice and snug. Well, the bolt's snug. It kind of wobbles around a little bit. Seems like it should be a little tighter, but I guess that's okay. Get my wires underneath. I'll put my air filter in next.